All right, so this is the second part of the Chapter 7 module. And the reason I did these as two videos was, like I mentioned in the last video, we're going to be doing conversions. And this is just a little longer, a little more time consuming. And also it gave you time to print off those sections or not sections, those conversions, or write them down as needed. So if you didn't make it all the way to the end of the last video, first of all, why not? I'd say hilarious things at the end of the video. And also, let me show you what you missed. So I'm going to get you guys the notes here. And we have the 7.5, which starts with the US conversions. And at the bottom of this page, we have the US system of measurement. So if you didn't already, stop right now, get a copy of this that you see on the screen handy. Either take a picture of it, put it on your phone, or print it or copy it down. You're going to need it for the test. So whatever you do, do something handy. You'll need it for the homework as well. And we will get started. So number 1 says we're going to be making conversions in the US system. Some of these you just know off the top of your head. 1 and 2, you probably know how to do these conversions without a chart. 3, it's a little trickier. You might not know that one. And so the whole key to this, oops, you almost got to stare at my ceiling because I forgot to stop the video. The whole key to this is fractions. And so what do we start with here? We start with yards. So we have 18 yards. And it's just 18, so it's 18 over 1. And what we want to do is cancel out the yards and go to feet. So there are 3 feet in a yard. But where do I do that? Do I put the 3 on top? Do I put the 3 on bottom? And this is what you do. You want to cancel out yards. So yards is going to go in the denominator. And what you're looking is to introduce feet. So I'm going to put feet in the numerator. So whatever the answer is supposed to be in, that needs to end up in your numerator. And whatever you don't want, like in this case yards, that needs to end up in your denominator, because then we can cancel out the yards and yards and just have feet left over. So the final piece to the puzzle is to say what that fraction is. So how do I know where the 3 goes? Well, there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So 3 goes on the top with feet and 1 goes on the bottom with yard. So you never have to think arbitrarily, is this a multiplication problem or is this a division problem? You don't have to worry about that. You just write up your fractions. And now that we're at the end, I can see the 18 and the 3 are both on top, which means from my fraction rules, I need to multiply. And I get 54 feet as the final answer. And so sometimes the problems are pretty straightforward and you just go from yards to feet, which have the conversion. Other times it's a little trickier where we are talking about weeks and we want to convert that to minutes. So this one, I feel like you probably already know the conversions, but we will still check out this chart. Here we have time, and so look at all this. You know all this. 1 week equals 7 days, 1 day equals 24 hours, and so forth. So everything in that time you already know. And if you didn't know that feet one in the yards earlier, that's where I got it from. Well, let's go back here because we can't go from weeks to minutes. We need to go step by step. So I'm going to start off with my 15 weeks. And what can I say about weeks? Well, I can say that 1 week equals 7 days. So I'm trying to cancel out weeks. So I put my 1 week on the bottom and my 7 days on top. All right, but days is not the final answer. I need to cancel out days and say that there's 24 hours in a day. So 1 day equals 24 hours. You probably knew this answer was going to be pretty big because if I said how many, well, this is what we're saying. We're saying how many minutes are in 15 weeks. How many minutes are in 15 weeks? That is a huge amount of numbers. So that's why we have to have all of these numbers involved. And just remember, every numerator that I don't want, like I don't want weeks, needs to have a denominator that I can cross it off with. Days crosses off with days. Hours, I don't want hours, so I need another fraction with hours in the bottom. And this time I can convert from hours to minutes by saying there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So finally I can cross off my hours, and the only units that are left in this problem is minutes. All the denominators are 1, so I don't need to worry about reducing anything in this problem. All I have to do is go across the top and do 15 times 7 times 24 times 60. And if you're following along, you see that it's a quite large number, 151,200 minutes. So that's how many minutes are in 15 weeks. So you just set up your fractions so that you can cancel out the units you don't want, and you just keep going until you get to the units you do want. How many fluid ounces are in a gallon? This is also going to take a while. Look at this volume. We go from gallons to quarts, quarts to pints, pints to cups, cups to fluid ounces. So we're going to need all of those in our next problem. So going up, I see I'm looking at 1 gallon. Now, I guess you could just go to your refrigerator right now and get a gallon of milk and see how many ounces are in it, but that's no fun. Let's work this out. So we have 1 gallon. Oh, that's nice that we're starting off with a 1. Gallons goes to quarts, so to cancel out 1 gallon, it says I have 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Quarts are going to cancel with pints. And that table says I have 2 pints in 1 quart. Now, just a little secret. Here, I'll show you what I'm doing. Behind the scenes. I just took a picture. Oops, where am I? I took a picture of that chart, and I put it on my phone. Because if I keep scrolling back and forth, y'all are going to get seasick. I'm going to get seasick if I keep scrolling back and forth. I know I'm not in the ocean. Anyways. However, just have that chart handy, and then you can see where all of these little fractions are coming from. Okay, so 2 pints is 1 quart, but I want to cancel out pints. So I see that 1 pint is made up of 2 cups. And finally, I want to get rid of cups. And I see that 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces. Okay, this is where you take a second and cross everything off to make sure we put our fractions in correctly. Top and bottom gallons, top and bottom quarts, top and bottom pints, top and bottom cups, and the only units I have left are fluid ounces, which is what we were looking for. So to finish off this problem, I need to multiply everything you see in the numerator. The 4 times the 2 times the 2 times the 8, and we get 128 fluid ounces. That's how many ounces are in a gallon. So we can make as many of these fractions as we need, but we need to end up with the units in question and have everything else canceled out. So now we're going to worry or look at mixed units here. And so there's 4 planks of wood, and each plank is 6 feet, 4 inches long. What's the total length of wood that he purchased? So what I'm going to do here is I need to somehow multiply this 6 feet, 4 inches with the 4 planks of wood. So I can just multiply this. I'll show you 2 ways. We can do this either by using mixed numbers or improper fractions. So if I have 6 feet and 4 inches, I can multiply that by 4, just like I always do. Just like always multiply 4 times 4, multiply 4 times 6. And this is kind of like a mixed number, or it's kind of like a messed up mixed number, because we can't have 16 inches. So I'm going to rewrite the 16 inches as 1 foot plus 4 extra inches. Because there's 12 feet, no there's not, there's 12 inches in 1 foot. And so this gives me 24 feet plus 1 foot plus those 4 inches. So that's kind of treating it like a mixed number and just taking each part separately. That might have been too much, too confusing, so maybe it's easier for you if we convert this all into inches first and then go back to feet. So 6 feet is 72 inches. Anyone out there that's 6 feet tall or higher probably already knew that already. So 6 feet 4 inches, the whole thing is 76 inches. So what I would do is take my 76 inches times 4, because remember we're looking for 4 of these. That gives me 304 inches. And now here's where it gets tricky, is if you have your calculator out and you want to change the inches into feet by dividing by 12, you'll notice you'll get 25.33333. Well, we knew the 25, but it's not 3 inches, it's actually 4 inches. And so it can be confusing to go from the decimal to the actual inches. So unfortunately, the best choice in this scenario is long division, because that's how we get the remainder. So we have, and it helps that we already know the answer is 25. We're really just trying to figure out what that remainder is. So I know 12 goes into 32 times because I know I already know the answer is 25. So this is 24, subtract, and then bring down. 12 goes into 64 5 times. That gives me 60. And now I can see I have remainder 4. So 25 remainder 4 is the same thing as 25 feet 4 inches. All right, so there's 3 groups of you right now, right? There's the people that liked the first way and understood it and moved on. There's the people that didn't like the first way, but the second way made sense, so they're going to do it that way. And there's a third group that has no idea what I'm talking about. Ugh, that stinks. Maybe watch it again or shoot me an email and I can give you some help on these problems, because it's really hard to kind of judge how many people are in each group when you guys are on the other side of the video screen. So definitely reach out to me if you are struggling with this or you like a different way of doing it, a different explanation. Okay, so number 5, similar where we have these mixed units, but this time they're not multiplying. It says he cut 2 pieces that were 8 feet 7 inches and 12 feet 11 inches. What was the total? So total means we're going to add 12 feet 11 inches plus 8 feet 7 inches. Add like regular, so that is an 18, that is a 20. But remember, we can't have 18 inches because 18 inches is more than a foot. And so 18 inches is 1 foot plus 6 more. Let me write it out a little better. 18 is 12 inches plus 6 more. So that's going to be 1 foot plus 6 inches. And so I had the 20 feet in front. So I end up with 21 feet 6 inches as my final answer. If you write 20 feet 18 inches as your final answer, you will get it wrong, because 18 inches is an improper form. We need the final number to be under 12 inches. Okay, last one. We're going to triple the recipe. So we have 1 pound 8 ounces, and triple means 3 times. So I'm going to multiply this times 3. That gives me 8 times 3 and 1 times 3. 3 pounds, 24 ounces. We have not talked about pounds and ounces, so let's look down here. And This says 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So our 24 needs to be split up into the 16 ounces and the 8 left over to make 24. In other words, 24 ounces means 1 pound, 8 ounces. So adding that 1 pound, 8 ounces to the 3 pounds we started with, we have, oops, I don't know, that's not the answer, I was just trying to mark it. The 3 pounds we started with, we end up with 4 pounds, 8 ounces as our final answer. So do the addition, do the multiplication, whatever the problem says, and then just check the units on this chart to see if you can convert them and to make those last numbers a little smaller. All right, I will be the first one to tell you that US is the worst in terms of measurement, and we're done. So that's good. So what you should do now, the next 2 sections you're gonna breeze through. What you should do now is take a break and do all the US, get it out of the way, and then come back and see me. And we are back with, next up, the metric system. Yay, this is the best one. And the reason it's the best, let me scroll down to that chart that I mentioned earlier. These sections both have a chart with them. Take a picture, take a screenshot, do whatever you need to do with this chart, or maybe you've already printed it and you already have it sitting right next to you. But you'll notice everything has tens in it. So to go meter, decameter, hectometer, kilometer, when we're going up, we have bigger and bigger powers of 10. When we're going down, we have smaller and smaller powers of 10. Oops, I went a little too far. Cut it off there. And then there's some specialty ones at the bottom. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. It's 100 millimeters. So those are more specific ones. So we'll practice going back and forth. So since these are all just ones and zeros, all we have to do is move the decimal. So what we're gonna do, and you know, this is a good one to have a hard copy of. So if you are using your phone, it'll be a little trickier, but I'll go down to the bottom and show you what I mean in a second. So it says, Herman bought a rug 2.5 meters in length. How many centimeters is that? So 2.5 meters equals how many centimeters? No fractions, just moving decimals. So go to your chart. We are talking about meters. Wait, I already forgot what we're talking about. Sorry to scroll a lot. We're in meters. We want to go to centimeters. Okay, so we're in meters. To go to centimeters, I'm going to go smaller, 1, 2. So I was at 1, and notice the decimal moved 2 spaces to the left. So what I'm going to do here, oh, I did it backwards. Meters to centimeters. Oh my goodness, I know, I'm making you all dizzy. Why am I doing this? You guys yelling at me again. Look right here, it tells us what it is. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Yes, why didn't I see that the first time? Okay, perfect. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Last scroll, going back. Okay, so in order to get to centimeters, I need to multiply by 100. So I'm gonna move this 1 2 places to the left, fill in with a 0, so I end up with 250 centimeters. Perfect. All right, hectoliters to liters. How many places do we move? You know what, I gotta scroll. Sorry guys, I gotta just draw all over the screen. It's just easier to count that way. So I'm going here, and I'm going from hectoliters to liters. I miss everyone telling me the answer. Okay, hectoliters to liters. Hectoliters to liters. So there's 100 different here. There's 100, a hectoliter is 100 liters. So let's go up here. 1 hectoliter equals 100 liters. Just write it down so I have it to remove my decimal. And so in order to do this problem, we need to multiply by 100. So I need to move that decimal place from 350 I need to move it 1, 2, fill in with the zeros. So the answer is 35,000 liters. All right, last one, and then we will do the mixed units. We have liters to centiliters. Now meters and liters and grams, they all have these same relationships here. So we're going from liters to centiliters, is that what I said? Liters to centiliter. So a centiliter equals 0.01 liters. 0.01 liters. All right, so to get into centiliters, I need to move my decimal 2 spaces the other direction. So centiliters are very tiny. And so I move it, okay. So 4.1 liters. You know what, if you get confused, I don't know why I didn't just do this before. We should be doing this like we did the other ones. So if I want to get rid of liters, I need to put liters in the denominator, and I want to end up with centiliters. So I can see that my liters cancel. And so this problem turned out to be division, and I get 4.1 divided by 0.01 because it's on the denominator, and that gives me an answer of 410 centiliters. Let me just double check my hectoliters to make sure we did it right. And so we have 1 hectoliter equals 100 liters. And so I have 350 hectoliters over 1. And I want to get rid of hectoliters and bring on liters. So I am multiplying by 100. Okay, so we got the right answer. I tricked myself with all those decimals. So maybe it's easier just to do it like number 3 and multiply by that fraction. Now, a lot of you guys have taken science already. A lot of you know the metric system already. So if you have a better way of doing this, absolutely do that better way. This is just how it's going to be explained if you check out the more instruction in the Newton video. So I just want it to be consistent with what you're going to see there. Okay, mixed units of measurement in the metric system. We just did mixed units before, so we're going to do this again. We have 1, this is a little easier to add though because it's decimals. So we have 1.58 meters. And then it says her daughter is 75 centimeters. So looking at this chart, 75 centimeters would be 0.75 meters because we're just dividing by 100. So we have 0.75 meters. Let me do that again. 75 centimeters. I'm going to get rid of centimeters and introduce meters. So 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, and I can see that I need to do 75 divided by 100. Okay, so then I just add those two numbers. This is nice because there's no mixing and mashing and long division like we had to do before. These are all going to just be decimal addition. So I have my first number, my 1.58, and I'm adding my second number, the 0.75, and so I get a 3, carry the 1, 3, carry the 1, 2, bring down that decimal, and I have my height. Now, last step, read the question, write the answer in centimeters. So to go back, I'll do this in a different color because this is the second step. I'm going to do, this is the end of it, 2.33 meters. And I know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters from that chart. And notice, use green here. This fraction and this fraction are basically saying the same thing. They're both saying 100 centimeters equals 1 meter, but they're written upside down. And the reason I did that was because this problem had to cancel out the centimeters, whereas the red problem had to cancel out the meters. And so that's just how I started the problem. I put them both in meters, and so I had to kind of convert back. But now I see that now I'm multiplying by 100. So in red, we'll have the final answer, which is 233 centimeters. Possibly, if I had read the whole problem first, I would have just left the whole problem in centimeters. We'll do that in the next one. And then I wouldn't have to do that extra step at the end. Okay, last one. To make 1 pan of baklava, Dorothea needs 400 grams of pastry. If she plans to make 6 pans, how many kilograms will she need? Well, there's no sense in converting because I'm multiplying times 6, so I'll convert at the end. So I'll do 400 times 6 and get 2,400 grams as my multiplication answer. And then I need to convert to kilograms. So I say 2,400 grams over 1 equals, times 1 kilogram over 1,000 grams, because I need to change this to a kilogram problem. So the grams cancel, and I see that I have 2,400 divided by 1,000. So the final answer is 2.4 kilograms, doing that division. And so, yeah, I think the moral of the story is this section is very similar to the last section, but the multiplication division is just a little easier because everything has tens in it. So I'm not even going to stop. You can stop if you want to do the homework real quick, but look how short this section is. 2 problems. And so what we're going to do is just go ahead and finish this up, and then we will be all done. So to do these 2 problems, we need 2 more formulas that I forgot to type out. So we have going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, which we are going to use the formula C equals 5/9 parentheses F minus 32. And then we're going to have the formula from converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and that's going to be F equals 9/5 C, no parentheses, plus 32. So we use those 2 formulas. Whatever you want your units to be, that should be the letter that's by itself. So I want, in problem 1, I want Celsius. So notice I have the problem where the C is by itself. In problem 2, I want Fahrenheit. So I have the problem where the F is by itself. And this is just a plug and chug problem. So this is a great example of needing to write down the formulas somewhere handy where you can access them quickly during the test. But the actual problem itself will just be a real quick calculator problem. So first off, 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So I say C equals 5/9 times 59 plus 32. That's in parentheses. So I'm following the order of operations. I'm going to do the 59 plus the 32 first to get 91 in parentheses. And then I'm multiplying that times 5/9. So 9 and 91 can't reduce. Oh, they're very close, but they can't. So I'm going to multiply 91 times 5 and get 455 over 9 as my, not my final answer, but my next step. And of course, that's not how we discuss temperature. I don't say, ooh, it's 455 divided by 9 degrees outside. Nobody talks like that. So what I'm going to do is do that division, 455 divided by 9, and I see that the answer becomes 50.6 degrees Celsius if I am rounding to the nearest tenth. If you look on your calculator, there's a bunch of 5s, so we round that up to 0.6. And that's it, plug and chug. In fact, I think number 2 is even easier because this 9/5 will reduce pretty nicely. It's actually another formula you could use if you prefer is 1.8c plus 32 because 9/5 is the same as 1.8. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my 25 for C. Take 1.8 and multiply it times 25, which is 45. Add 32 and get my final answer as 77 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. Quick little plug and chug. So we are done with this module. Go ahead and finish up all your chapter 7 stuff, and I will see you in the next video, which is chapter 8, where we will be solving equations. All right, bye.